Whether it be handballs, offsides or red cards, referees often get major decisions wrong. Match officials obviously don't have 20/20 vision, and when you combine that with the high stakes and tension of the UEFA Champions League, things can get messy. Welcome to Halftime Football, where today we will be going through 8 of the biggest robberies in Europe's biggest club competition. Number 8. Man City Liverpool, 2018. The 17-18 season was a memorable one for City fans for many reasons. They played outstanding football, however, one disappointing factor stains that season entirely. City were knocked out of the Champions League by Liverpool in a tie full of dodgy decisions. The Blues went into the second leg 3-0 down after receiving a battering at Anfield, and it looked like they were on their way to coming back after Gabriel Jesus opened the scoring after just 3 minutes at the Etihad. City made it 2 just before half-time as Leroy Sané poked in, but both Mateo Lahoz and his assistant judged that the ball that came over to Sané came off a City player, ruling him offside. However, replays quite clearly showed it came off of James Milner as it went over to the German. Lahoz put the icing on the cake after the halftime whistle when he sent off Pep Guardiola after he quite rightly complained about the decision, and this more or less dashed City's hopes of a comeback. Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino sealed their fate in the second half, and Pep didn't hold back post-match, saying, "Lahoz wants to be special." Pep obviously got rewarded with 2 disciplinary sanctions, and quite ironically, Lahoz actually refereed City's first Champions League final last year. Number 7. Liverpool Spurs, 2019. The Champions League final in Madrid 3 years ago is widely regarded as one of the most boring of all time, and a certain refereeing decision played a major part in that. Both Liverpool and Spurs earned their places at the Wanda Metropolitano with 2 of the most insane comebacks in Champions League history in their semi-finals, so naturally the viewers were expecting a great showpiece. That was until after about 30 seconds when Sadio Mane's attempted cross struck the chest of Moussa Sissoko and deflected onto his arm, and Damir Shkromina gave the penalty. Now this isn't necessarily the fault of Shkromina, since UEFA's rules were an absolute disgrace at that point, and Sissoko was somehow punished purely for trying to point and give instructions for his teammates. Anyway, Mo Salah converted the penalty, and it set up arguably the worst Champions League final in recent years, well, of course up until Bayern PSG a year later. In my eyes, the neutral fans who paid top dollar to watch that game were robbed more than Spurs, as Liverpool just took their foot off the gas completely for about 80 minutes, making it a massive snooze fest before Divock Origi made it 2 and the Scousers lifted their 6th Champions League trophy. Number 6. Chelsea vs PSG, 2015. Paris Saint-Germain were drawn against Chelsea in the Champions League for the 2nd year running, and they were looking to avenge the demons of their previous exit to the Blues. However, PSG showed up to Stamford Bridge in an incredibly disadvantaged position in 2015, with Laurent Blanc's men having drawn 1-1 at home in the return leg. To top all that off, Bjorn Kuipers seemed to try his best to make their mission completely impossible. Zlatan Ibrahimovic lunged in for a tackle on Oscar about half an hour in, and while he didn't get the ball, his studs weren't up and the Swede made contact on Oscar's shin. Kuipers, however, was quickly surrounded by Chelsea players who were screaming in his face to give Zlatan a red card, and he fell to the pressure and duly dished out the red. Then, as always was the case with Diego Costa, he should have 100% been sent off. The Spaniard was on a booking already, and after the referee turned his back to deal with another altercation, Costa shoved Marquinhos to the floor in an incident which by itself should have been a red, let alone a second yellow. I break the rules a bit here since PSG got robbed, yet they still fought through the adversity to win the game on away goals. Fair play. Number 5. Barcelona vs PSG, 2017. After a 3rd consecutive tie against Chelsea in 2016, the Parisians finally got to play someone else, and in their way in 2017 were Messi, Suarez and Neymar. PSG unbelievably demolished Barcelona 4-0 at the Parc des Princes, and all the odds pointed to them advancing to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. However, an absolute madness was about to ensue, with referee Deniz Aytekin playing a crucial role. Barca were 2-0 up, and the referee awarded a very 50-50 penalty with Thomas Meunier slipping and taking out Neymar in the process, and Barca scored the penalty to make it 3-0. PSG did pull one back, and they deserved another or at least a penalty as Javier Mascherano took down Angel Di Maria, who was racing through on goal. Aytekin awarded a goal kick, and Mascherano even admitted after the game that he had fouled his Argentinian compatriot. To top it all off, when it was 4-1, Luis Suarez raced into the box to receive a high ball, and as soon as he even felt the slightest brush of the arm from Marquinhos, he did an exceptional dive, which was enough to convince the referee to give a penalty. Neymar scored the penalty to make it 5-1 with just minutes to spare, and we all know what happened next. It goes without saying that La Remontada would never have been possible without the assistance of Deniz Aytekin, who faced a UEFA demotion and a 5-page dossier from PSG complaining about his decisions. Number 4. Manchester United Real Madrid, 2013. In Manchester United's final season under Sir Alex Ferguson, they were knocked out of the Champions League in very controversial fashion. The Red Devils went into the second leg of their round of 16 tie with Real Madrid in a very strong position, having picked up a 1-1 draw at the Bernabeu. Just 3 minutes into the second half, they seemed to be all but through as Sergio Ramos turned Nani's cross into his own net, giving United a 2-1 aggregate lead. However, Nani ended up getting sent off after he tried to control a ball that was played over to him, and he unknowingly buried his studs into the arm of Alvaro Arbeloa, who naturally, as a Real Madrid player, went down clutching his chest. Chuniet Shakir dished out the red, which under the laws of the game appeared to be the wrong decision since it was dangerous play and a yellow card at most. This completely turned the tie on its head as Luka Modric equalised before Cristiano Ronaldo sunk his former club, sending Los Blancos through 3-2 on aggregate. Even Real Madrid's manager, Jose Mourinho, appeared to be ashamed with the scrappy win, saying after the game that the better team lost. Number 3. Barcelona-Arsenal 2011. Now, the younger viewers may not believe this, but there was a time and a place where Arsenal actually put up fights against Europe's elite. Their tie with Barcelona in 2011 was no exception, with the Gunners winning the first leg 2-1 at the Emirates, and after 55 minutes of their tie at the Nou Camp, they had cancelled out Barcelona's away goal and they were strongly poised to go through. This was until Robin van Persie received a lob-through ball and went on and took a shot, and onlookers were absolutely baffled to see Massimo Bissaka hoisting a red card for the Dutchman. Apparently, Bissaka had blown his whistle for an offside, which Van Persie logically couldn't hear amongst the noise of 95,000 spectators. The striker, who was already on a booking, was penalised once more for kicking the ball less than a second after the referee blew the whistle. This totally killed the game from Arsenal's perspective, as Arsene Wenger said in his post-match interview, and it set Barca on their merry way. Messi and Xavi both scored to knock the Gunners out of the Champions League round of 16 following Van Persie's dismissal. Number 2. Bayern Munich-Real Madrid 2017. Real Madrid were gunning for their second consecutive Champions League trophy, and on this occasion, Bayern Munich stood in their way in the semi-finals. Los Blancos won the first leg 2-1 away from home, with several controversial refereeing decisions occurring, but it was the second leg that truly had everyone talking. Bayern made it 1-0 from the penalty spot, which to be fair was a total gift, as Arjen Robben made the most of minimal contact from Casemiro. The Brazilian midfielder was then booked for persistent fouling not long after, but we'll come back to that later. Bayern then had the chance to double their lead on the night and take the lead in the tie after a ball was played over to Robert Lewandowski, who was level with Marcelo, but the assistant called it offside and prevented a one-on-one with Keylor Navas. Arturo Vidal was then given a second yellow card for winning the ball off Marco Asensio, all while Casemiro was laughing as he made a challenge on Robben which warranted a certain second yellow card, but Victor Kassai looked the other way. Then in extra time, it was the linesmen on both sides of the pitch who had absolute shockers. Sergio Ramos picked out Cristiano Ronaldo in the box, who couldn't have been more offside if he tried, and he then took the ball down and volleyed home. The goal somehow stood, and it got even worse minutes later as Marcelo blazed through and played it forwards to Ronaldo, who once more was offside, but this meant nothing to the officials who let his tap-in stand. Marco Asensio then added the finishing touch, which to be fair was completely legal, and Real Madrid knocked out Bayern Munich. However, Victor Kassai and his team were absolutely disgraceful that night. Number 1. Chelsea vs Barcelona 2009. Now for the big one, the one that everybody knows about, the Tom Henning of Rebo game. Chelsea were facing Barcelona in the second leg of their Champions League semi-final tie, and they'd done the hardest part, picking up a 0-0 draw away from home, meaning all they had to do was win this game. The Blues went 1-0 up with an absolutely unbelievable volley from Michael Essien, which cannoned in off the crossbar, and from there, Norwegian referee Tom Henning of Rebo seemingly set out to give Barca the game. Not long after Chelsea went 1-0 up, Frank Lampard played it over to Didier Drogba, who was racing through until Eric Abidal committed 2 separate fouls to take the Ivorian down, which should have certainly been a penalty and a red card, but it was waved away. In a wonderful case of karma, Abidal was then sent off in the second half despite Nicolas Anelka tripping over his own feet while through on goal. Then, with 10 minutes to go, Anelka tried to loft the ball past Piqué, who so blatantly handballed it to the point where he and Yaya Toure both slowed down waiting for the penalty, but quickly carried on once they realised De Vrebo hadn't given it. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, Andres Iniesta volleyed the ball into the roof of Chelsea's net, in a game which would have been over long ago if it was fairly officiated. And then the icing on the cake, with just seconds to play, Michael Ballack fired in a shot which so clearly struck the upper arm of Samuel Eto'o right in front of the referee's face, and despite Ballack literally chasing down and grabbing a Vrebo, the penalty once more wasn't given. It did make for some good pictures, to be fair. Nonetheless, Barcelona somehow, against all odds and against all fairness, progressed to the final of the Champions League, prompting Didier Drogba to launch his expletive-ridden tirade to the cameras at the end of the game. Barca went on to win the 2009 Champions League, but because of that game, that triumph will always feel incredibly tainted. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as well as letting me know if I missed any incidents in the comments below. I know I definitely did. But anyway, once more, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.